Last Friday, we meditated on Christian charity, love in the Christian context, because it was the feast day of St. Valentine's. I thought it'd be a great idea just talk about the other two theological supernatural virtues, faith, hope, and love, which St. Paul talks about in 1 Corinthians. So let's just meditate on faith for a moment. I think we all know how hard it is at times to communicate faith to others. And if people ask us why we believe in God, why we accept what the church teaches on things, we may be hard-pressed to give an answer. Many times we just want to say, I just believe it. I know it to be true. But faith is a knowing, not in the sense that we can put God into a test tube or prove his existence. It's a knowledge of the heart. It's a realization of our own experience. So I can't prove love, I can't quantify peace, I can't calculate forgiveness. When you think about it, the most important driving forces in our lives are not quantifiable or even provable, and yet we know that they are real. So sometimes in our super techie scientific age, people want to say, well, I don't believe in anything that I can't prove or that science doesn't attest to be true. So faith is not like that. And yet, we'd also say that faith is eminently reasonable. That when we start with that philosophical question, why is there anything at all? Why are we here? Ultimately, the question leads us to the answer of God. When we look at the complexity of the world or the beauty of creation, we just instinctively say, somebody made this. Some grand, intelligent, loving person made all of this. And of course, that is God. So faith is a gift. Hebrews 11 in the New Testament says that faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the reality of things not seen. And we know that faith is a response to God's initiative in our lives. So in the Old Testament, God visits Abram and calls him to be the father of the Jewish people. And Abram responds in faith, even though what's promised seems to be humanly impossible. Think of when the angel comes to the Blessed Mother and invites her to be the mother of Jesus. God's initiative, Mary's faith response. So faith is believing intellectually in the truths of our faith, but it's also having confidence and trust in the loving power, mercy, and presence of God in our lives. It's the faith that a child has that his or her parents will never leave them or do harm to them. It's faith that there's an order and purpose in the world, that there's a meaning and mystery to my own life that I can't fully fathom or even articulate, but I know it to be true. The heart knows things that the mind can never grasp. And so the mind can take us so far. Faith takes over and leads us into that vast realm of God. And so we pray for those who struggle with faith. We pray for those who do not have faith. And we are called to share faith with them. That's what we call evangelization.